Hey everybody, so I'm at an airport and the lighting is poor. We'll talk about that later, but more importantly, I wanted to talk about the fact that I'm a fan of leftist streamer Hassan. I don't think he's perfect, I don't always agree with him, but I like him quite a lot and I think he does a lot of really good work, and I think he's a good egg. I think he's a real good egg overall. But recently, because this is online, he got into a bit of drama, as happens sadly a lot with content creators, and shout out to FD Signifier's great recent video on this topic, by the way. But this drama was about how he, Hassan, wanted to play on his stream a certain wizarding game, controversial for reasons that I spoke about in a recent video, in order to raise money for transgender charities. To try to use a game that is part of a wizarding franchise that is owned by an anti-trans bigot doing active harm to trans people, to fight back by doing a charity stream to try to make money for trans people, those she is directly harming. Honestly and truly, I think that is a fantastic impulse. It's a kind one, it's a caring one, it's one that shows he has a desire to do good, to help, to be kind, and to try to make change, that is his first desire. And I think that speaks all very well of him and who he is and what he tries to do with his work and his platform. And I'm sure if he did do that charity stream, that it would make a lot of money for transgender charities, which is awesome. However, there is an issue. He is a leader for many in many communities, not just the leftist community, but the streamer community and many others, including a leader for many trans people. And I see a lot of folks, including other streamers or even transgender streamers, say, oh, well, if he can play the game, then I can. And then I see other people who look up to those streamers and leaders and say, oh, if they can play it, then I can donate to trans charities and play it myself. But here's the thing. Now that everyone here has bought and played the transphobes game and gave it more money and attention and validity, that's what you've used your platforms to do. To give validity to this game, to say it is okay. It makes her relevant, it makes her platform and franchise relevant, and allows her to keep justifying and causing harm to the transgender community. And also keeps telling the people in charge of this franchise that yes, they can still keep making stuff within it and make money while she's still doing her horrible stuff. And I'm not just talking about generally in our culture today, but I'm saying that this is happening within our own spaces that are supposed to be directly transgender supportive. Yes, the world sucks. Yes, it's breaking streaming records, and that sucks. But it doesn't mean that we have to replicate that economy within our own spaces that are supposed to be safe for trans people. It supports her economy, not ours, not the marginalized, not transgender people's, and it normalizes in everyday discussions and discourses, keeping her and her platform in our attention, in our mind, in our culture, and we need to not do that. We don't use the tools of the oppressor to take down the oppressor. I'm not saying we're going to be able to take down the oppressor today, but playing that game is playing on her and transphobic terms. This is what I and others talk about when we say don't play the wizarding game. It's not that you are a bad person or a bigot if you do, but what it's doing is not actually supporting trans people, and it's not being an active ally or accomplice to the transgender community, even if you do use it to try to do good things. We fight on our terms, not theirs. And a lot of people said this to Hassan, and good on him, he decided not to do the stream, which I think is a correct thing, but a few things have happened in the discourse after that fact. First, people have said Hassan was bullied into not playing the game by transgender people. I'm sure many people were assholes to Hassan during this, some of them quite possibly being trans, and wanted to react vitriolically at him for his initial impulse to play the transphobic game to help trans people. And that really sucks, because his intention was good. Don't harass streamers for playing the game. His intent was a good one, his hope was an earnest one, his desire was a good one. We don't use the tools of the oppressor to fight oppression. Oppressors harass. Oppressors view things in binary and essentialist terms and want to create antagonism. And they want us to do the exact same thing to each other. While we fight oppressors, while not harassing them, we don't do that to each other. We create dialogues. We work with our community and between communities in kindness, and don't essentialize one's actions, but create meaningful conversations with each other based on the understanding that we are imperfect people imperfectly fighting a horrid system that hurts us all. Also, by framing the discussion as if trans people bullied him by saying that that was the overriding thing, which may even be completely true, it's ignoring the valid critiques that were being made, like the ones that I hopefully articulated earlier. And it frames the discussion in terms of building a resentment against the marginalized, against trans people. It frames trans people as the aggressors in this entire situation, as if we're the hateful, hurtful ones, when in actuality, we're the ones being harmed in all of this. In fact, it's also very important to point out that one of the biggest right-wing disinformation campaigns about transgender people is that we're all bullies trying to control what you say or do.
And they canceled her because she said in an interview, and this is not exactly what she said, but effectually, she said gender was a fact. And then the trans community got mad as they started calling her a TERF. I didn't even know what that was. But I know that trans people make up words to win arguments.
The way that you can tell who holds all the power in a society is by who you can't make fun of, right?
That's right. So his speech is violence, their violence is speech. See how that works? What's interesting is that the number of people who really care about this issue enough to assault someone over it is tiny. And yet they have disproportionate power. 350 million people in the country, maybe 1,100 feel that way, but they're running everything. Why is that?
Most trans people are just saying this casually and trying to be reasonable, like I hopefully am trying to be myself. And yet the narrative always focuses on the loudest, most vitriolic voices in order to create a narrative around trans people. Now, I'm not saying that this is what Hassan is intentionally doing, but constantly framing trans people as bullies who are coming to attack you ultimately supports framing trans people as harassers and bullies, which ultimately feeds into the right-wing narrative around transgender people that frames us as the aggressors when really we are the ones being victimized. And by the way, I'm not saying that Hassan is contributing to this narrative intentionally, but certain people are taking it that way. Just like right-wing folks are currently using the fact that one streamer started crying after some mild pushback from her community about her playing Hogwarts Legacy, using it as, the transes are bullying you. Also, these discourses make it about individuals, the person who's being bullied by the transes, instead of about the actual trans community, the entire group of people that is being harmed. It also forgets that trans people are harassed like this on the daily, just for being trans online. I'm not saying all trans people are acting perfectly in all this. Some trans people may be angry and vitriolic towards Hassan and others, and that sucks. It is awful, and we shouldn't be doing, no one should be doing it. But a lot of trans people are hurting right now. We're imperfect people fighting a horrid system imperfectly. That's not to forgive them, it's not to say it's okay, but it's the understanding that we have to have when you have a marginalized group being attacked. And I know the criticism to this video will be, well, if he plays Hogwarts Legacy, then maybe people who might be watching an anti-trans streamer might watch him instead. But my argument back to that would be, instead of worrying about continual endless growth in a very capitalistic sort of mindset, why not worry about modeling how to fight for trans people and platform trans people to your audience? Be a champion to the audience you already have. And hey, who knows, maybe by taking a stand, doing something different than the already tons of other people playing Hogwarts Legacy on the platform, you'll make your audience grow anyways, by being someone different, by showing them a different way forward that's positive and helpful. But second, I also hear now that Hassan is not going to do anything. He's not going to do a trans charity stream. At least that's what I know at the time of this filming. Maybe that's changed. He's not going to play any game or talk about transgender issues during this time. But we don't, as activists, do things because people were dicks or because things are awful all the time. We don't be reactive. We be proactive. And being proactive means realizing you don't need the wizard game to do a transgender charity stream. You can just do a transgender charity stream. The wonderful video essayist Jacob Geller did one actually late last year playing sword video games and raised thousands of dollars. Hell, the most effective trans charity stream that I'm personally aware of was of Donkey Kong 64, a game that is decades old at this point. You can just do a transgender charity stream. You don't need to play any specific game. In fact, even better, you can support not only a transgender charity stream, but a transgender artist at the same time. You can use your platform to play a game by a transgender person that others may not even have heard of. For example, Celeste comes to mind. Tell Me Why also is a game that has transgender artists and actors within it. Bloodborne PSX, the indie free Bloodborne PS1 demake, is even better too. Give attention to the indie creator of Bloodborne PSX, who is a transgender woman who made that game out of a passion and desire to learn to be a better creator, and who wants to go on to do more cool projects beyond just Bloodborne demakes. And I'd honestly, by the way, recommend No Clip Gaming's wonderful documentary about her, by the way. Imagine if Hassan, one of the biggest streamers out there right now, streamed her game while doing a trans charity stream, gave her attention, and inspired other streamers to do the same. Would it be better numbers than the Wizard game numbers? Maybe, maybe not, probably not. But it would be doing things on our terms. Imagine Hassan streaming that game. It might help change the course of her career completely in a positive way. It would enable her and help a transgender creator be able to make more wonderful, beautiful things and put those beautiful things out in the world for other trans people to resonate with and other people who aren't trans to find and discover and see what trans people can do. And I want to see those things that she can make, what she has to say. And all of that would be done while doing a charity stream for trans people. But maybe some of you out there are like, look, those games are awesome, but they're too small. The Wizard game is trending right now and relevant. Twitch will eat that up. We need to play a trending game. And okay, if that's your argument, I got you there too. Play Last of Us Part 2. That's a video game that is relevant right now because of the, I think, record-breaking HBO TV show. It's a video game that stars numerous queer actors and characters, including a transgender one played by Star Trek's own Ian Alexander, who is boss, by the way, especially in that game. And the game was also made with several trans developers behind the scenes, including at least one that I know of in a lead developer role. And there might be more. And that's not even to mention that the TV show that is relevant right now stars Bella Ramsey, who is non-binary, and Pedro Pascal, who is one of the most adorable human beings of all freaking time, and also a vocal ally to the trans community, who himself has a transgender family member. Play that game. It's just as trending and relevant as the, Wizarding one. Right now, as I said, I'm in an airport, and sorry for the terrible noise and weird cuts because the speakers have been coming on. But the reason I'm here is because I'm traveling to Los Angeles to visit the Star Trek Picard premiere that I was very kindly asked to attend by the creators behind the show with my fellow queer creator and Trekkie, Sean Farrick, and others. Shout out to Trek Culture, by the way, for being amazing. And as I said, I was invited here by the creators of Star Trek, who I know for a fact donated to transgender charities and didn't play the Wizard game. I saw online one of the producers of Star Trek Lower Decks, my favorite Star Trek show right now, tweeted out about it because he fucking rocks. And it showcases to me that there are big franchises and creators working within them, and creators big and small, both within franchises, within big multimedia corporations and without, run by people who want to care and fight with the vulnerable. Support those people. And if you want to say, oh, support the devs of the Wizarding game, I talked about that in my big video. You see, the trick of our capitalistic attention economy is making you think you have to use where the attention already is to get anything done. To beg for scraps from someone else's table because they have the Eye of Sauron of the cultural discourse on them. But we don't have to play that game. We, as activists, we create our own attention. We can't take down the Wizarding franchise, at least not right now. We can't take down the person who created it. It's not going to happen today. But the basis on which we build the chance to actually do that down the line does start today with our actions, what we create right now. And to do that, we create and fight on our terms. We cook our own meal with our community and others. We don't beg for leftovers from those who harm us. This isn't about a boycott of the Wizarding game. I'm not here for a boycott. I said as much in my last video. That's the wrong way to think about this. What this actually is about is creating our own future. Creating our own systems outside of these attention economy things. Making our own attention. Creating something stronger to build upon that works for us. Making opportunities for those who didn't have it before. And don't give more to those who already have too much. This isn't a lesson we should take away just in this situation. It's what we should remember always. If this video was just about this Hassan moment, I wouldn't have made this video. This is a goal we need to work towards always. We build on our own terms. We build our own systems of support. Oh, and by the way, this same argument goes for the trans character in the Wizarding game. Her name is Sirona. Sir-Ona. I see the developers are going to the same school of naming that gave us the wonderful Kingsley Shacklebolt. The character is a tokenizing, oh, I have a fictional trans best friend nonsense meant to trick you and others into saying all of this is okay, that you can use their tools and make people think they're being allies by supporting an economy based on hate. I spent the last few days getting told Avada Kedavra by bigots in my DMs, in comments, online. People calling me mudblood. People dehumanizing me. People telling me to kill myself using wizarding avatars. The Wizard franchise, while an oppressor doing active harm owns and controls it, sadly can't be reclaimed. It is a tool for them. It is their terms now, their language now. Let's not try to claim their tools to fight them. Let's make our own and share them with each other. Oh, and speaking of which, the download link to Bloodborne PSX is in the down below, and it ain't $70. That's money you could instead then use to donate using the charity links that I also put down below. And by doing that, you get a game, and you help trans people, all while not supporting the wizarding game, or an economy of hate. Just saying. Anyways, I got a flight to catch.